Hi, Tokyo Tops.
Today we're gonna talk about something is super popular, Mizugiwa. Do you know what is Mizugiwa Taisaku?
水際対策の緩和。
水際対策を緩和する。
水際対策が大幅に緩和され
We have been seeing lots of YouTubers uploading their top tips for coming to Japan. So today, we are not gonna talk about that.
No, because all that information you can find in those videos.
Today we want to show something more from the gay perspective to share our top recommendation and answer some of your questions for coming to Japan as a gay person.
So let's get into it.
So tip number one, there are a lot of new venues and also different bars that is opening up in Nichome. Something I realized is which is very different from prior to COVID compared to now. Before, lots of people going to places like, Dragon. What's the young people that you no longer go anymore?
Artie.
Artie, yes.
Too old for Artie.
But right now, with the King.
King is king.
It has become one of the major venue for Japanese or non-Japanese people to gather around within Nichome. If you haven't checked it out, definitely check out King.
Bars have closed down and in their place, new bars have come open. Unfortunately, like a lot of the lists you probably have at home and probably on the internet are not relevant anymore.
Something that when you research, like for 2018, maybe that information is no longer relevant. So with that, another new Nichome attraction, Kiki Lounge, every single month happening Eagle Blue. We have actually a ballroom culture that happening in Nichome right now. It wasn't there before.
Yeah, they have actual different categories. I actually ran into Kopi Sensei last night and she was like, come to our next ball. Yeah, so it's obviously, it's gaining traction, it's getting popular.
Kobe Sensei is the legendary mother. But I didn't know there are so many other talented new dancers that I wasn't familiar with.
One thing, I mean, we've talked about this in a recent video, but people are still wearing masks. I was in a bathhouse and they were wearing masks. So I think that that's something that's kind of could be relative to some important for some viewers out there to make sure you have probably a disposable mask, something to bring on and expect that you might be asked or expected to wear it. It does depend on the venue. I mean, once you go into the stalls, you can take the mask off, but.
I haven't been for a while, so I'm not sure.
For a while. He's not up on the rules at the moment.
But this year, I will confess that I went to Hatenba once, okay? Early this year, and nobody was wearing a mask.
Which one?
それは秘密です。
At that point, I would probably bring a mask just in case.
Even though the government is trying to promote that you don't need to wear a mask outside, but most of the Japanese society, still carrying on a mask. I understand in most of the Western countries like America or Europe that, nobody's wearing mask anymore. But if you come to Japan, just to be mindful that people may yell at you on the train and be like, すみません! すみません! Mask! Have you seen that video before?
When we all travel, one of the most exciting things, things we look forward to is food. To put a little bit of a gay spin on it, we thought, what if you have, a date planned or a possible date planned later after dinner? So we thought perhaps food that may not be so good for gay people and bottoms in particular might be a good idea to talk about. So we have a list.
The immediate red flag everyone knows is yakiniku.
Absolutely not. Yakiniku is going to be the worst.
It's oily, it is a lot, and then probably also lots of yakiniku places are tabehodai, which is all you can eat.
It's just oil. Oil is not really good, so ramen's not really good for that. Another thing to avoid is spicy, as we all know. Japanese food's not very spicy, but they do have an oil called dayu.
But that's not even Japanese. That's originated from China.
Sure, but it's always available if it's at ramen shops or whatever. And a lot of people like spicy. A lot of people like spicy food, so they'll try it. So I'm just saying, don't.
Okay.
I do not have time for this. I do not have time for you.
Can people eat wasabi then?
I think so. I don't know how to explain the difference very well. I always think wasabi is like the nose spice. It hurts your nose.
Talking about wasabi, like you guys always eat wasabi with sushi, right?
Yeah.
Combination. So personally, sushi is fish. Fish is white meat. It's not as bad as red meat. And also like I'm used to eating sushi or sashimi, raw fish. So it doesn't really upset my stomach. But if it's your first time trying it or, like eating it in a restaurant in Japan, because I know like the Western sushi and Japanese sushi are quite different.
Yeah.
It's not spider roll where it's more like
What's
a
a
fish.
spider roll?
It's like California roll, spider roll,
okay.
things like that.
I don't
It's
know
not
anything
really,
about sushi.
Yeah. It may, cause some trouble for your stomach.
Yeah.
So if you're not sure and want to have a sexy night,
Yeah.
just also avoid sashimi or sushi in general.
So that brings us to what can you eat? First one is natto. Personally, I'm really not into natto, so I would not eat it, but it is like chock full of lots of nutrients. It has really good bacteria for the stomach. Then we have konnyaku. Konnyaku is soluble fiber, and apparently that's the fiber we want to go for. We don't want to go for insoluble fiber.
Not so many people will eat konnyaku in general because
Yeah.
it's not like super signature here. Like
Yeah.
for example, people think about Japan, people go to shabu shabu or yakiniku or takoyaki or things like that. Somewhere that you can find konnyaku quite easily is things like 7-Eleven, Family Mart. They have like oden. I love oden.
And I think what's really good about that is that probably when this video comes out, we're getting into winter, and oden is a perfect winter food.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think it is super underrated. I brought my friends to oden, like
Okay.
an oden restaurant, not like convenient oden.
Oh, wow, okay.
And he really liked it. He said it's very gishikikan ga aru.
Oh,
It kind of like very
ritualistic.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we have soba. Soba has a lot of fiber, soluble fiber.
A lot of people have been asking me what hatemba do I recommend. It's very hard for me to explain because the Japanese hatemba have many rules. Sometimes can reject you because of your body type or because of your age or because of your ethnicity. They're very particular
Yeah.
about what type of people go
Categories,
into what
exactly,
places.
yeah.
24 is there for every single one. Can you walking with tattoos?
I
guess
think
you
you're
can.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, even with tattoo, you're fine.
I
There's-
would say about 24, one thing to think about is if you do happen to want to use condoms, you need to bring your own. And your lube. Even to my friend who was here on the weekend, that was the one that I recommended to him. It's not as particular as all the other ones, right? So it's much more easy to have that as your first experience because it gets progressively more complicated after that.
Would you recommend 24 Ueno or 24 Shinjuku Nichome?
Depends on, I think just 24 actually, Shinjuku in general. The Ueno one is a little bit more for the older crowd.
So some people also DM'd me on Instagram as well, asking where can older guys to meet younger guys.
I don't know if I should
encounters.
even recommend this because I've never been. I don't know if you can go in as foreigners. I don't know any of this, but there is a new hatemba that opened and it's called Dads and Sons.
Dads and Sons?
Specifically for catering for younger guys that like older guys and vice versa. Okay, hold on, look at this. Age ranges from in your 30s to 100. Bear Daddy Cruising. Just look up dad_son_ueno. I would really recommend at the moment Ninja. Ninja is a good vibe personally for me. Not only does the main guy always feel very welcoming and welcomes me at the door, he remembers me. The people inside as well are more welcoming to me than other places. In general, they're just more chill with foreigners. It's close to Akiba. So if you have your Akihabara day, you can, finish it off there. I think that's it's a good one as well. A lot of times they have big days.
So check out Ninja. That's
Yeah.
Andrew's current favorite. So if
Yeah.
you want,
Yeah. You might be able to buy. Yeah, exactly.
Which day do you go
Yeah, oh my
after?
God.
Which
I'm not
day?
saying.
My personal suggestion is Bump. I think Bump is really surprised me, especially after work, like during the weekdays.
Oh, because
It's
of
just-
all the
oh my
Shinbashi
God, all the
salarymen?
Shinbashi, Marunouchi, that area, Tokyo Station,
Okay.
where Shinagawa is so accessible to Shinbashi. Oh my God, everyone's so hot over there. They're my Japanese fantasy for sure. They have like no underwear days. So like
Yes.
you don't have to wear anything. Like people, I think they just hide their by covering with their hands.
Yeah.
But sometimes people don't even cover with their hands. They just like have
Yeah.
a Wiggle, wiggle.
Yeah. Technically, I think in Japan, you're not allowed to be naked in a public space like that. It's illegal, and that's why you have to technically cover.
Well, anyway, I think bump is the fire.
My feeling lately, I have more fun now. On the east side in bathhouses. Like, and Bump and Ninja are both on the east side.
You know why? Because people live on the west side are gay. And people live on the east side are straight acting gay.
Oh my God.
That's why you like that.
We're gonna get canceled.
That's
No, it's not about that.
That's why
It's
you
about-
like that.
Oh, monkeypox.
I just checked today for you guys. In Japan, there are only 6 cases.
It just doesn't seem terribly prevalent or an immediate concern.
It's last month's topic. Like, nobody's talking about monkeypox anymore. Which are the top 3 tips how to behave in Tokyo, interact with people there?
Wear a mask. You don't want to be that foreigner.
My tips is always saying arigatou gozaimasu and sumimasen. Learning those like very easy Japanese words can help a lot.
My friend, when he was visiting, he also learned oishikatta. And he was at restaurants and saying that, and he got a really good response from people. They were always like, yay, oh, thanks, we're so happy, and stuff like that. And even just a couple of words will go so far.
Yeah, you can also use that in Hatenba as well, by the way.
Sumimasen, gomennasai, oishikatta, gochusou-sama deshita. Okay, so this is something that my friend was struggling with, and I never thought about it. So a lot of the public bathrooms have sensors, right?
Yeah.
This happened in Ichome the other day. He went to the toilet in Aido, and Aido it doesn't have a sensor. It has
You have to press, right?
and it doesn't have a flush thing. It has
A panel.
a panel.
You press on.
Exactly.
Okay.
He didn't know which was which. What I told him to do is I was like, look for the kanji, the character of someone like this. That's for like number 2s because it's big versus small flush. But I think that that's an easier thing to recognize. He was there like for like 10 minutes because he was getting a little bit like, I said
Because
to
he
him
has,
because
like, a
he was like,
big
I don't
dog.
know. No. I think he just peed, but he didn't know what
Which
to,
one
and
to
he didn't want to
press.
push the wrong button, right?
Oh my god, if he pressed the splash
Yeah,
one,
exactly,
you'd be like,
right? Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. I was waiting for like 10 minutes. I was like, what was wrong? He was like, I didn't know what button to press. I didn't want to press the wrong
Why
one.
didn't he just call you or
Just beep,
something?
beep, beep, beep.
Next person was waiting for you outside. You're like, oh shit, that huge dump is in the toilet.
Maybe learning just a
Toilet
couple of kanji could also help your trip.
What is usual in Western countries which you shouldn't do there in Japan?
Want things your way. We were at a place that they didn't even take credit card, they only took Suica or like those sort of payments. When I was with my friend, he was really just there to have a good time, so he just worked with it. But I could really see people be like, what, you don't accept credit cards? You know, a lot of bars, getting back to Nichome, only accept cash. So there are gonna be a lot of things that are different. You know, you go into a bar, you're like, can I run a tab? They say no. Do we have credit cards? No. So only things that are different from the West.
Oh, I know. When you guys have huge suitcase and when you stand on escalator, leave one side out, okay?
yeah,
Don't stand on both sides because in the morning rush, like I need to push my way.
I do think it's a very foreigner thing to do. You get off the train and you have to figure out which way to go and what exit to use. It's totally understandable, but I think it's just good to be mindful of where you are. Like, go to the side.
Yeah.
Because I see that a lot. Like, you're just going, you'll be like this and that, and you're kind of getting into people's way. In general, Japanese people are not going to call you out on stuff, so they're gonna be waiting for you to realize that you're in the way.
I want to know if I should take cash, like American cash, or should I convert the money? Is digital payments like Apple Pay available there?
Apple Pay is getting better. I don't see it everywhere. Credit cards, hit and miss. I do think it's still cash. Even last night, when we were out with friends, it was very cash. If you are worried about carrying that amount on you, maybe take some in cash and then charge a Suica as well, and you can like use it where you need it. And Suicas can always be charged at a station close by, so it's never really that far away.
I actually watched a YouTuber. Her name is Kim Dao. That she actually have a really good explanation of foreigners downloading the Suica app. They can use digital payment that they can charge the Suica with their credit card, we're using the ATM in 7-Elevens as
Oh.
well. Which gay club can go and see Usak and Sasuke Gogo Boy?
I saw Usak last night. To give some ideas of places we've seen them at Isotope, we've seen them at Idol, we've seen them at Eagle, we've seen them at Eagle Blue,
Vita Party.
Vita Party. If you follow them on Instagram, they often post the events
They will
that they're
promote
at.
what they're gonna do.
They're gonna
Yeah.
promote what they're gonna do. D-Light is actually a really good place to run into Go-Go Boys because they usually do Go-Go Boy events on a weekly basis, whereas the one that I just said at Isotope is more of a maybe once a month party. It's more of a big thing, whereas D-Light will sort of hire a couple Go-Go Boys on a regular basis to come in.
Password smash, okay? Usak versus
Usak.
Sasuke.
Always. Usak, I love him.
Usak versus Susumu.
Usak. I love Susumu as well, but something about Usak is just really, lately, I am drawn to him.
Usak versus Hiroya.
It's really hard. The only way I wouldn't choose Usak maybe is
Hiroya.
and then I'd get into a dilemma. Why can't I have both? Okay.
No, it's not
no,
more
it's your
cutting
turn.
to the
Yuhi or Shuji?
Yuhi.
Oh. Sasuke or...
Yuhi, right? You have to.
Oh, I guess, yeah.
一つ倒
Okay,
していく
Sasuke or Yuhi?
Yuhi.
I think Sasuke is really handsome.
Sasuke,
Yeah.
what Sasuke
But I
is
haven't-
very
I think
handsome.
Sasuke is I've always known him, but I've been recently more attracted to him than before.
In general, people would vote Sasuke even as number
Yes,
one.
I think so. Okay, Yuhi or Hiroya?
Yuhi.
No, it's
No, Yuhi.
Really?
Yeah.
Yuhi or Susumu.
Yuhi.
Wow, okay, I think we're starting to see who he likes a lot. Yuhi or Koya?
Koya.
Ah. Koya or Jin?
Koya.
Koya or Usak?
Koya.
Yeah, Koya's very hot. Koya or Kome? Oh my god. That's a good answer.
This is my dilemma. Oh my god.
That's a hard one.
But Kome.